Hey everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for Feb 14, 2024. It's currently about 5:30 p.m. on the West Coast, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. First of all, remember, there's no financial advice. We're not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees the market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. All right, the market had a bit of a pullback today. It's no biggie. I mean, it's been a pretty good market for a while, and if you kind of look on the long-term charts, the monthly chart, we're kind of up near major resistance. So a little bit of chopping around and consolidating would be a healthy thing, and a bit of basing, and hopefully a snap, a big breakout eventually. The American markets, if we just look at your kind of S&P 500, it's just breaking new highs and just trending up now for ages, and I'd love a pullback, obviously, to get more. So I'm not really worried if the market starts tanking, because I'm just going to see that as a chance to get some more of these key, these key long-term names. Now, the last kind of 3-4 weeks, I know I missed last week, but I've been crapping on about insurance stocks, right, and how they've just been basing, and just they're kind of all correlated. All the big insurance stocks on the ASX have been based at the same time, and so Sun has broken out. Broke here, and then it's nudged its head above this big resistance here, and so I've got two. I've added to that. I've got in here and then added to it here in the self-managed super fund, and I've definitely learned from many years ago, like back in 2004 when it was trending and rallying for ages, that it pays to be very patient with the insurance names. This is not going to double on me like Mara does, and those big high beta names, but in the self-managed super fund, I'm pretty happy to give a real wide stop and just chill the hell out and let this thing trend away and do its thing, okay? And so that's that. I guess one of the leader right now in the insurance names is IAG. I'm in this one too. I talked about this one a lot. Big base, nice breakout. That's a weekly chart here, and I think there's a nice move kind of brewing in this, and it's just a classic setup. All the names were setting up at the same time, which means so much more than if you just have one stock in the sector setting up. I tend not to trust that at all. Okay, but you get the whole, all the big names in the sector setting up, and boom, that usually is significant. Okay, now just rattling on pretty quickly. I'm still in Bannerman. On this big up day, I was like literally just doing a jiggy, and then the next day, I was up 8% that day. The next day I was like down 13%, and it's like, holy shit, like volatile as hell. But I just, for my second half of this position, I'm just giving it a lot of wiggle room. I'm willing to let this thing go back to, a small loss even. I don't want to get shaken out. I think it can, if we are in the start of a uranium bull market, not the start obviously, but if we are in the midst of a uranium bull market, I'm not going to get shaken out. I'm not going to be one of these suckers that gets stopped out and then have something triple on me, okay? I've had that happen to me countless times. It's not going to happen in Bannerman, and therefore the trade-off to that is that I need to be willing to give back all this paper profit. And when I say all, I mean all and then some, if this gap's down. And that's life, I'm living with that. The upside, is that maybe I can stick with this thing and it can double or triple or 10x. I don't know, okay? But that's enough said. Another one I've been kind of talking about basing away for ages is GTK, okay? I'm still in this. I wasn't watching the market this morning when it had this wick down. I probably would have shat my pants if I saw it, but I didn't, so that's pretty cool. Sometimes it's good just to not be sitting there staring at live prices. I think live prices is just, a disastrous thing for 99.9% of swing traders, and I don't get why everyone's so obsessed with wanting live data. It just does more damage than good, and I'm just riding this. This was a beautiful base. It snapped out of it. It had this wick and then closed on its high. I'm going to need this one a crack to run higher and see if it can do that. I'm just going to milk everything I can out of that one, okay? And just I just wanted the ETFs. I mean, they haven't really pulled back yet, but I'm just going to always just watching those guys, and these are my two favorites. See if they can if they do have a big pullback, I'm just going to add more. Now, there's a few setups, and I just wanted to do a scan that. In a bull market, I tend to do my Dava scan more than any other scan, just because I want to find stocks that are just chilling out in their bases, right? And there's a few that have come up. First of all, out of interest, for those who have been following, I did get sucked out of Asia when it started breaking down below there. Right? What an all, I still made money on this, right? I've been in it. I was in it from 6.8 or whatever, but that sucked. It got shaken out, and now if we flick to a monthly chart, it's just so clean, hey. And I'm starting to think to myself, shit, I probably made a mistake getting shaken out, and this has been basing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. It's tight as all hell, and I'm just willing to admit I was wrong with my sell on that. I'm potentially going to get back in on a break of this high for a swing all the way up here, okay, and be really patient with it, which was my plan initially. But it did look croaky, but that's what happens sometimes with flush outs. It sucks us all in from time to time, and that's the way it goes. So that was one interesting one. Another one that came up that I thought was interesting is Judo Bank. Okay, it's just a lot of these little finance stocks have been rallying. Okay, my beloved old PPM has been rallying hard lately, which was good to see because I was carrying a pretty decent loss on it, and now I'm back at about break even exactly, pretty much. So that's kind of cool. But a lot of these little names, like if you look at Resimac, which is kind of one of my favorites too, it's big rallies and setting up. Now, who knows if is it just going to sell off like it has the last few times, or is this the start of a bull market in these little finance companies? I mean, time's going to tell, obviously, but when I find nice, clean Davis boxes in this sector, this sector is one of the ones that are really kind of working for me at the moment. And when I see things like CGF gapping up on good earnings, and it's just it just tells me that there's shit going right in this sector right now. And I'm watching Judo. This is a pretty tight box, and I'm just watching that base around. It's only been in there for 10 days, so it needs another week for me. My minimum is 3 tight weeks. Okay, so I'm definitely watching it. And I wanted to quickly talk about one other box that came up, STP, Step 1 Clothing, right? Now, if we just go back and have a look at this base, which I talked about on Breakout Wednesday back here, I mean, that is one of the nicest stage 1 bases you're ever going to see. Okay, it IPO'd back here. Like most IPOs, it was incredibly overvalued with, people, brokers and all that shit, pretty much scamming the hell out of the public and pretty much anyone they could, and grabbing every single dollar they could, and then running away, right? And so most IPOs, if you study the IPOs, go like this, okay? Buying IPO days is something that only real idiots would do. Do you know what I mean? Generally speaking, you'd have to be a real numbnut, right? And so it IPO'd up at $3, and then it went down to 20 cents. Okay, I mean, shit. All right, and then it formed this hell of a nice base, and this is kind of where the smart money's getting in. Okay, when it's breaking out of this huge stage 1 base. Okay, and I missed it, right? And the reason I bloody missed it is because I bought some of their undies and I put them on, and I decided they were shit and they weren't comfy and I hated them, right? And then I blacklisted the stock, which was really, really, really dumb, because the stock doesn't give a shit if I found its undies comfortable or not. And it broke out of a base and went nuts, and it's basing again, okay? And so I think, one of my main kind of things out there is that we've learned how long trends can last with stocks like GTK, all right? It went up, and it went up, and then it went up, and then it went up. And so if STP can just, give me, the perfect tight base up here, then, I will trade it again, and I will get over this mistake that I made, because I had that earmarked as a big base and something I was going to absolutely clobber until those undies actually rocked up at my house. All right, now, just lastly, I'm going to piss off pretty quickly today because, be honest, a lot of stocks need setting up, okay? Like, if you look at a lot of the leaders, like Combank, I mean, it had earnings today, it gapped down. BH and these big stocks, I mean, they're just not in buys. I mean, look, BH has fallen to support. So if you're a support buyer, it's totally in a buy zone this second, okay? Unless it starts breaking, these lows and starts crashing down here, which is why I don't really buy support much, except for really long-term things. But my point is that a lot of these stocks need setting up. There's not a plethora of really good setups right now. But I've been watching PLS, Pilbara, obviously, biggest lithium mine in the world, all that sort of shit. And so I've been reading a lot about how, Australian First Super's been buying a big position in it, and they're pretty good at timing the bottoms in PLS. And I've been looking at the flush outs going on, okay? So this low here, flush down, flush out of it. And it's just, if you go back and study all the stuff I was crapping on about when these tech stocks were flushing out, like here, all right, and then compare it to PLS, it's just, there's a side of my brain that's thinking, shit, everything is so bearish on these lithium names and the nickel names, but I'm not talking about nickel right now, I'm talking about lithium, and everyone's just bearish as hell, and that tends to be when obviously bottoms are in, we have a lot of flushing out, and I'm just pretty open-minded here to the potential of using these lows as a springboard for a very, very, very good entry in the long term on PLS, where I'd say if I had a gun to my head in 10 years from now, where will PLS be? I would bet both my nuts that it's going to be a hell of a lot higher than it is today. All right, and so I do have a starter position in a self-managed super fund, and I'm pretty happy with that starter. But I am looking at, it's just a small starter. I'm looking at kind of aggressively pyramiding into PLS when the opportunity arises. That's it. I'm back next week. I promise you. Catch up.